Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. It's Tuesday. Yeah, it's been a long time since we did this on a Tuesday. And you know what that means? It's time for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. I go by the name of Eddy, aka the HOC up in this thing. And of course, like I said, once again, I'm going to give a shout out to my bros because they're doing some big things outside of the podcast. If anybody's happy for you, I'm happy for you, like super duper happy. I'm so happy, I'm going to end my incoherent rambling, and I'm going to change up you guys' intro a little bit. I have not only one, but two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the studio manager at the Share Studios, straight out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. He is the one, the only, the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I was going to actually have that discussion with you after listening to last week's podcast. I get like a 2-second intro and Scottie D comes out like Kenny Omega, not from North Carolina. I'm like, wait a minute. How does he get a 30-second intro and I get a 2-second intro? But it's okay. It's all right. I appreciate that. And once again, as you know, I'm coming to you from the Share Studios here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, doing big things. You know what? Almost to the point where we don't even need the other guy anymore. I could double, I thought about it. I could actually double up the video where it's two of me, two of you, and we could just have his voice. I mean, we could keep his voice on there, but looking at him as a whole, you know what? My bad. I apologize. We're on the time constraints. Let's go ahead and introduce the other guy. Go ahead and bring him in. Let's see what he's got to say. Yes, sir.
He is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the meanest, leanest, toughest, thuggish, ruggish utility personnel in all of Trinity High School and all of Washington County. He is going back to school, y'all, to the Waynesburg University, straight out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Here he is, the money man, Scottie D.
I know someday you'll have a beautiful life. I know you'll be a star. And speaking of, you can't take me off whenever the name of the show is Scott Darling and the Sports Bros Podcast. You can't.
Where
but I know it is a beautiful life, and we're all stars. Come on, I'm just kidding with you, B-Live. You're almost my equal.
Almost. Wait, hold on.
Boy, here we go. Don't incite a riot, Scottie D. Don't incite a doggone riot, because you get him started, you know he just hard to stop.
Yeah, it's true.
Get into the show. It's almost twice you done disrespected me. I'm just gonna let it go
in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
Scottie D is a world-class bear poker. But fellas, enough of us running our mouth. Let's go ahead and talk about some sports. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. The top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. All right, with it being football season, what is it, fellas? Like 3 weeks away until we got some Thursday night football. Yep, opening up with the Chiefs and the Lions. It's going to be an exciting matchup. It is time, before it get too damn late, to do these here conference previews / divisional previews, fellas. All right, and I got some notes here. And this week we're doing the NFC. Next week we are doing the AFC. All right, so what are we doing here, fellas? Are we predicting winners? This is what we're doing? Division winners?
Yes.
That sounds about right. I could do that.
Okay, with that being said, let's go to the NFC North. B-Live, who you got?
NFC North. That is quite the interesting conundrum, because Minnesota was 13-4 last season. But the reason why they were 13-4 is because they went 11-0 in one possession games. Like that's unheard of. And so
They're gonna do that again.
I just that's tough to do. Like, and I mean, I didn't see Minnesota really make any improvements. If anything, with losing Dalvin Cook, now they're leaning on what Alexander Madison and who else did it? Any other really? I don't know. I could have stayed just a little bit more. At the end of the day, I said this a few years ago. I believe I said this at the inception of this podcast, and I keep believing it. And I believe it is that time that the Detroit Lions take the helm and finally win the division. That's why I'm going with Detroit Lions to overtake the Minnesota Vikings. Green Bay, it ain't happening. Chicago, I give you another year before you may be competitive. I just think still just a little bit more to go. You can't just go from the worst team in football to becoming a division winner. A little bit more work needs to be done in Chicago.
Yep. So, Be Live, you picked the Lions to win the NFC North. Scottie D, what say you?
I don't want to pick the Lions because they are the trendy pick, because everyone's jumping on them because they finished so strong last year. But I do think that there is some reality to this team. I think they're going to be better. You know, Aaron Rodgers has gone from Green Bay, so it was always safe to take the Packers just because they say, they got Aaron Rodgers. If they got any other problems, they'll bail them out. And he really wasn't that good last year. The Vikings, I agree. I think that they won some games last year that you didn't expect them to win. Then they laid an egg in the playoffs, and then their best player, well, I guess Justin Jefferson's their best player, but Dalvin Cook was probably their second best offensive weapon, and he was willingly let go. And this team doesn't believe enough in Kirk Cousins to give him an extension. He's on his last year of his contract. I think I have to go Lions as well. Although I got to tell you, I'm not. If the Green Bay Packers are so interesting to me because of the quarterback change. They have a quarterback there who has sat and watched and learned. It's not like he's coming in cold as a rookie and hasn't played. And he has been on the field. He didn't have a lot of experience, but he's played a few NFL games. And if he connects with these young receivers, Romeo Dobbs, who were waiting to develop last year, and what's the other guy? Watson, is that his name? Christian
Watson. Yep.
Yeah. Who actually did kind of heat up as the season gets going. If he develops some chemistry with those guys, there's no reason to think that Green Bay can't at least be in the conversation. So, having said that, Lions, Eddie Cole.
Well, after listening to what all you guys had to say, I already have my mind made up. The Lions, reason because the most consistent teams in that division would have to be Minnesota. But the thing about it is, what is the defense going to do? You know, like what the hell's the defense going to do? How bad will they miss Dalvin Cook from the running game? Also, on top of that, how much more can they lean on Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins? Still, not really too sold on Kirk Cousins, aka Mr. You Like That. And then the Bears, I think this year for the Bears, they're gonna throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. Because there's no way in hell they're gonna have a worse the first turnaround. I just don't see it happening.
I think they're gonna be terrible.
I think they'll be competitive, but they won't be like, world beaters.
Right.
Yeah, they won't do that. And then the whole Green
Would they win 3 games last year?
Yes.
Yeah, they might win another 2 games. That's
what I'm thinking. They could win 5 or 6, I think, but they're not a contender. No way.
No. And then the whole thing with Green Bay is Green Bay with the young talent is just a wait and see kind of thing. But then again, the same thing with Green Bay. What's that defense looking like? What is the defense like? Because they got like a lot of first rounders in the last few drafts. So now it's time to put up or shut up for the Packers. So that being said, I'm gonna have to go with.
It's so hard. It's so hard though, Eddie. We're all 3 picking Lions. It's so hard to trust the Lions. Their quarterback is a guy who was rejected from the team that he went to the Super Bowl with, and their running back is gone, and they've brought in David Montgomery and drafted what's his name, Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama, and their coach is the kneecap biter. I mean, do we trust this team? really? I mean, it's hard to trust the Lions. It just feels like something has to go wrong for that team. I don't know. Everything always has, Everything always seems to fall apart for that team. It's like trusting the Browns. It's hard to say I'm picking the Lions, especially, maybe we're being too dismissive of Minnesota just because they did have a bad playoff experience last year, and the Lions are the trendy pick, but I'm going with them too. I mean, it's weird. We're all picking a Lions.
Yeah, I just want to say out of all the teams in the division coming into the season with the most momentum, it's the Lions.
Right.
It's definitely the Lions. All right,
and they're going to start off 0-1. By the way, they are starting off 0-1. So,
which is okay. You start off 0-1. It gives you a chance the following week to get that first win. You go to week 3 at 1-1. All right, B Live. Here we go. We taking a trip 95 South to the NFC South Division. B Live, who you got winning it and why?
Oh, this is the toughest out of the 4 in the NFC, just because quarterback play in this division is the absolute worst.
Atrocious.
Good Lord. Like David Carr, Desmond Ridder, was it Kyle Trask?
/ Baker Mayfield.
And Bryce Young, it's just like, and that's more, he's #1 draft pick, but it's a lot going on. And the first 2 preseason games for the Panthers are not convincing me whatsoever. I need better play from the offensive line. I'm just gonna say it. I know I said last week, relax and calm down, and it's only preseason, but there's certain cracks that you see during preseason, and the O-line for the Panthers is definitely what I see. And Bryce Young desperately, and I mean desperately, needs a working offensive line. With that being said, defense. And with that being said, I'm going to pick the Carolina Panthers to win the division.
Whoa!
Off of their defense alone. I think Carolina has the power to stop teams. I don't think teams are going to score more than 17 points against them. I think Carolina has the capability of scoring 17 to 21 points. It's going to be a lot. I think this is going to be a real big cardiac cats year. You're going to see a lot of one-possession games. I'm thinking you saw a lot of one-possession games last year with the Panthers, and they were on the losing end of them. I think Carolina has that Minnesota year where they win some of those nail-biters and win the division 9-8, 10-7. It is going to be like I think somebody's going to be over 500 this year. Yeah, hopefully, but it could be another year like it was last year, where the 8-9 Bucks win the division. The Bucks ain't doing it. Atlanta, I just don't believe in them, and I refuse to say the Saints are going to win anything. I'm just a hater, but that's just me. I'm not an analyst. I'm a fan. Scottie D, what you got going?
I agree with you. I think this is probably the toughest division to pick. I agree with you. I think 9 wins that division. But I don't agree with you that it's going to be the Carolina Panthers. The trendy pick, it's really not trendy, but it feels like the Saints are the team that should be getting the most looks, because it felt like they were quarterback away last year from at least being competitive. And I don't even know who played quarterback for them last year. Jameis Winston got hurt like in week 2 or 3, and they brought in Carr this year. And it's hard to trust Desmond Ridder to lead the Falcons to the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure I don't like Tampa Bay, and they got Baker, right?
Yeah, they got Baker. Yeah, they got a Baker.
Yeah, and Baker's going to be outstanding for like 3 or 4 games here and there, and then he's just going to be average to below average in the rest. I don't know why I feel like the Falcons are going to be the team that's going to be the last team standing, but I like their offensive weapons. I like they went and got I forget the guy's name, a guard to assist to block for this Desmond Ridder. They got Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. I think if Desmond Ridder is adequate, doesn't have to be good, they can win 9 games and win that division. So I'm going Falcons.
All right, so
we're no longer friends.
Oh boy. All right, so here we go. So now it's my turn. I'm going to pick the Carolina Falcons. Carolina Panthers. I'm sorry.
You're cut off. I'm not even.
What are you doing? I made a snafu, man. Don't hold it against me, man. I'm tired. I got a whole lot going on.
He's trying to cover all of his bases, picking Carolina and the Falcons at the same time.
I cut it out. All right, so so going from the bottom to the top. Tampa Bay, I'm not looking for nothing to come out of Tampa Bay. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I don't know what's going on in that running back situation. The defense is probably going to have more holes in the block of Swiss cheese. Don't trust them. The Saints, I don't know what I'm going to get. They upgraded they got, was it Derek Carr? Yeah, they got Derek Carr. The possibility of Michael Thomas come back. You also got to do with Alvin Kamara being suspended for X amount of games. So you also have to look at that as well, too. I mean, but the defense will be steady, but I don't think they're going to, really rock shock any worlds. The Falcons, however, have upgraded a lot, and they have really, really upgraded. But
that too, Brute. That too.
Yeah, but something about Desmond Ridder is like I don't know, and Bijan Robinson is good. They're probably going to run him into the ground. Sorry, not sorry. And the Carolina Panthers is really interesting. Just need that O-line to hold it together. But I think that defense will keep us in a lot of games. If the defense keeps us in a lot of games, and if our kicker doesn't have him a Joey Slye moment, he'll be A-okay. With that being said, I'm going to pick the Carolina Panthers, man. The Carolina Panthers look like the most solid team in that division to win it. All right, Scottie D.
But before we move on, I just wanted to bring something up going back to our NFC North prediction, and I didn't have this information before, but I'm just finding out that the Minnesota Vikings have made an addition at quarterback. According to the XFL, the Vikings have signed Jordan T-A-apostrophe-A-M-U.
Tiamu.
Oh, okay, Tiamu.
Yeah.
Does that change any of our minds? Do we think he's going to take the job away from Kirk Cousins and electrify the NFC? Like an XFL player. I mean, he led the DC Defenders to a 9-1 record. Jordan T-A-apostrophe-A-M-U. He's coming to Minnesota. All right.
So, I mean, you know what? Jordan does deserve to get a job because the second inclination of the XFL, he had a Battlehawks playing some really good ball. He's like, you know what? The third time around, I'm gonna try to play some really good ball. He did, and so Tiamu deserves to be on the roster, man. He really does deserve to be on the roster. But as far as like rock shocking the world for the Vikings, not gonna happen.
Okay, all right.
Scottie D, let's take a trip up the road 95 north all the way to the AFC East. Well, you can take 10 west to Dallas and all this mess, but
NFC East.
Yeah, I said NFC. I'm tripping. The NFC East. I'm 100% sorry, fellas. The NFC East.
We knew what you meant. Yeah,
the NFC East. So what I'll do, I'll start first. All right, the NFC East. Washington. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna get with them. I just don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. You got Jahan Dotson. You got scary Terry McLaurin. I'm surprised who hasn't demanded a trade by now. Sam Howell was a starting quarterback. What's the guy that they drafted from Ohio State? Was it Chase Young?
Yeah, he's been there a few years now. This is a big year for him.
Yeah, so I think this is a boom or bust, do or die year for Chase Young. And then the whole running back situation, I'm kind of between Antonio Gibson and between Brian Robinson. They'll be interesting to see, but I don't think they'll be making any noise coming out that division. A team that'll be better than them is the New York Giants. Hopefully the New York Giants can take what they did last year and build off of it. They got Saquon. I mean, it's a Saquon, and then it's a quarterback that throws the ball, and they say he's a running back, is Daniel Jones. But, as well as I do, they watch tape, and they know how to counteract against that mess. Scottie D, your Cowboys. I don't know what to make of your Cowboys because Deuce Vaughn.
17-0, probably.
17,
and
17,
that'll be good enough to win the division. So
17 and smoking.
don't make a mistake here. Right?
Yeah.
Don't make a mistake.
Yeah. So we got Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is an interesting story. I like what he's got going on, and this is CeeDee Lamb's here to be like wide receiver number one, and then he has a compliment in Brandon Cooks. But good old Dak Prescott has to make sure the ball leaves his hands and goes to his wide receiver, not the other team's defensive back. So the Cowboys will finish second. I think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll finish second in that division. And the Eagles gonna win the division. Eagles gonna win the division because they got University of Georgia's entire defense. They got Jalen Hurts. Every year he improves and gets better. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. They have a mixture of youth and experience, and they're going to be a tough out. So I'm picking JR's Eagles. And no, I'm not singing that song. What say you, Be Live?
I absolutely are not singing Die Eagles Die Mortuary. But you got to give respect where respect is due. The Eagles are winning that division. They may have lost key pieces here and there, but all they did was rebuild. I mean, they were running back by committee to start with, and they're going to just repeat with that. And Jalen Hurts is, I'm picking Jalen Hurts to win the MVP this year. I'm picking him to win the MVP. I think he's going to have a repeat performance of what he had last year. I think, unlike most years where you have that Super Bowl slump, I think the Eagles did the right thing. And I think at this moment in time, the pressure is off of them as opposed to where sometimes, like, there are high expectations, of course. But I think the Eagles are like, hey, we rebuild. We got some younger pieces in place. I think none of the other teams in the NFC East made significant improvements to catch the Eagles. I think Cowboys will make the playoffs by default and then lose their first playoff game. And I will blame Dak Prescott again. The Giants are close, but I honestly believe the Giants missed the playoffs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And the Redskins, I think Ron Rivera gets fired this year. I'm just putting that out there. Scottie D, what you got? What you say?
I think it is a hot seat kind of year for Rivera. And a lot for him is going to be riding on Sam Howell, how he develops, how he progresses. He was a capable college quarterback. Not the best I've ever seen, but certainly worth a look in the NFL. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I think you're right whenever you're saying it's going to be down to like the Cowboys and Eagles, and the Eagles have lost a couple players and a couple coordinators. But here's where I think I don't think the Eagles are really that much more talented than the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys defense could be one of the best in the league this year with the continuity, with their additions, and by keeping, Dan Quinn is still there. The problem for me is I think the Eagles have the better head coach, and Mike McCarthy stepping in to call plays whenever they ran him out of Green Bay for doing that 5 years ago, for being a stale play caller 5 years ago. And now he sat and is boiled because he's couldn't wait to get his finger back on the trigger. And now Kellen Moore is gone and he's wanting to run like a West Coast type of offense. They're calling it the Texas Coast offense.
The what?
Texas Coast offense. Texas
Coast offense. They're calling it that. That concerns me, this McCarthy train. So that's why I can't, even as a Cowboy fanatic, I can't pick them to win the division. I do think, though, because I think the NFC is a lot of hot garbage this year, I do think the Cowboys have a chance to probably be the top wild card. But I think that they will take a step back from the 12 wins they had last in the regular season to probably 10 this year, possibly even 9. They could win 14 and it wouldn't be surprising to me because how good they are as America's team. No, I hype myself up there for a second. I'm still hung up on Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy being the hindrance to this team. And other than that, there's a lot to like about this Cowboys team. They did make some additions. They got Stephon Gilmore. They added Brandon Cooks. They drafted a run stopper in Mozzie down in the. There's a lot to really like about the Cowboys, but what I don't like is the head coach calling the plays and Dak Prescott. So I'm going Eagles as well. I hate saying that, but
all right. So the Sports Bros agree it's a clean sweep for the Eagles, and no, JR, I'm not singing that song. Get well soon, JR. JR had surgery on his knee to repair his meniscus, and so hopefully he's on the mend and doing a whole hell of a lot better. All right, fellas, let's go to the West side, the NFC West. Be live. Who you got winning the West and why?
This is going to be interesting, and I've been thinking about this. It should be an easy pick. It should be a real easy pick, but something tells me that Brock Purdy playing a full season isn't all what it's cracked up to be.
Explain.
I feel like he's going to end up being that typical 49er game manager. I feel like that out of all the teams, I mean, the Vikings are going to regress, but I think the 49ers are going to regress as well. I like the 49ers defense.
Yeah.
But
the game manager might be good enough with that good of a defense.
Yeah.
But my pick is gonna be a surprise. I feel like this team literally has nothing to lose. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, I can respect that. I respect that.
Nothing to lose. Geno got him a paycheck. Pete Carroll, he only got. I was watching film just the other day. Pete Carroll just out there, just running around throwing passes, and I'm over here. I was out of breath watching him, and he's 30 years my senior. I'm like,
I saw that video. Yeah,
I need to get my life together. I'm not even gonna lie. You seeing that? I'm like, who can't get behind that? And
we were ready to put him on a hot seat a year ago.
Yeah, we sure were. I was like, man, we was ready to get his ass up out of here. Now they go to the playoffs, and now he's running around throwing naked bootlegs and what the hell? Running fly routes at 73. Are you serious?
They were supposed to be the bottom dwellers last season. That was supposed to be a rebuild year. They're going to draft another quarterback. And Geno Smith said, well, I've been journeying around this NFL enough. It is my time to shine. I think they bounce back, not only make the playoffs, I think they win the division. I am Seattle Seahawks. I'm picking them. 49ers make the playoffs as well. The Seahawks, I picked them to win the division.
Scottie D, what you got?
I've been seesawing on this one back and forth too. I have Seahawks and 49ers. I've kind of gone back and forth on it because the 49ers, again, when we talk about how good they were defensively last year, and a week ago we were talking about Trey Lance being like not good enough to be the third string quarterback. And then he went out and had a great game the other night. Now he's like back in the conversation of being the starter again for this team. And now the defenses have seen Brock Purdy. They're going to know how to prepare for him. And I'm not worried about Sam Darnold. So I think there's too many quarterback question marks with the 49ers. Having said that, the Seahawks still have Geno Smith, and his career has not been the norm of what it was last year. So I have Seahawks and 49ers sitting here, and I'm picking the Rams. I'm taking the Rams.
So
I'm scratching both of them off. I'm calling a rebound year for the Rams. They still have Sean McVay. They still have Matthew Stafford. They got Cam Akers on a contract year. They still got Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. That was an injury-riddled team last year. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I'm predicting comeback for Sean McVay. I'm going Rams to win that division. Eddie Cole.
Oh, while I sing my comeback song, see what you did there. They don't have their return to Mac year this year. I got the Rams going to the playoffs. I got the Rams going to the playoffs. I have the Arizona Cardinals going belly up, not doing nothing. It's going.
I get them picking first.
Yeah, I got them picking first, picking boogers, and picking vegetables. So I got the Cardinals not doing nothing. For me, the Rams, they will make the playoffs. They might go in as a wild card, but between the 49ers and the Seahawks, I'm going to have to say the 49ers, man. I'm going to have to say the 49ers because their defense is just dominant. And like you said, they don't have an all-world beater quarterback because from the looks of it, if you put me in there at quarterback and their defense playing what they're playing, how they play, and I manage the game straight to the damn Super Bowl or straight to the NFC Championship game. So I'm gonna go with the plug and play San Francisco 49ers, my brother Everett's favorite team, because they met them a while back in Long Beach.
Should we throw some wild card teams out here? Should we pick 3 wild cards?
Yeah, we got a few minutes to do that. Yeah. So Scottie D, what you got for wild card teams?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm going to put
a question.
I got the Cowboys. Okay, I'm going to take the Cowboys in a wild card.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks and the Vikings.
Okay.
You have the 49ers missing the playoffs.
I have them missing the playoffs. Yeah, I know. I had them. I had them winning the division earlier today, and now I slid them right on out of the playoffs. Yeah.
Throw them all the way out of here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, for me, Cowboys, I have the 49ers, and I have the Minnesota Vikings. I think they'll fall all the way out, but Cowboys, Vikings, 49ers. The NFC South will not get another team in the playoffs ever again. I don't know. They'll get it together eventually, but yeah. Cowboys, 49ers, Vikings. That's me. Eddy Coop.
Ooh. So we got the Cowboys and the 49ers. I'm going to have to do that.
You already have the 49ers winning the division.
Of course. Let's see. So we got the Cowboys, the Rams.
Okay. You did say that.
Yep. The Cowboys, the Rams, and if the bottom falls all the way out, the Giants might just slide up in there.
Okay.
Yeah. The Giants.
I do like their coach.
Yeah, Brian, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just because think about it, like the whole world had the whole Giants counted out last year. Brian Daboll came in and said, "Nope, watch this. We're gonna tie one game. We're gonna win more games than we lose." The Giants are gonna be competitive. So I will say that. So yeah, that's what I got. The Cowboys, Giants, and the doggone Rams. Yep, I got those. Well, fellas, football. It's that time of the year. Happily excited about football. But before we hop to our favorite portion of the show, when we come right back, we're going to talk about some golf. Yep, there's a big tournament this weekend, and it was a whole lot going on. Of course, I was working, but nevertheless, I'm going to catch up right here on your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. We'll be back, y'all, right after this. Welcome back here to the Sports Bros Podcast. Eddy Cool, the Almighty B Live, and the Money Man Scottie D. As I did promise y'all, we gonna talk about some golf. Well, actually, Scott and B Live, they're gonna talk about golf because I was working and I was busy. So Scottie D, go ahead and fill us in like Craig David on what happened on the links in the PGA this past weekend.
Well, Viktor Hovland went crazy. B-Live, you watched a little bit of this, right? I didn't really catch much of it. What did you see there with Viktor Hovland?
Well, only like one of the greatest rounds I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the back nine of the final round, he went 7 under. Like, just he could not miss. And on top of that, the 17th and the 18th hole, which are known as the hardest holes on that course, he birdied them easily.
Got them both.
Yep, 6 feet, within 6 feet on both of them on the approach shot for birdie. And it was the biggest part that I saw is like he literally took the entire tournament and just he grabbed all the attention.
Yeah.
All the people in like it was sad when Scottie Scheffler and Matt Fitzpatrick came up on the 18th on the 17th hole. Hovland was already on the 18th, and there was nobody in the stands on the 17th hole. He already left the 17th to go to the 18th to watch Viktor Hovland because he was on an absolute tear. To shoot 61, 9 under for a par 70 course, it was magnificent. It was magical, beautiful, astounding, excellent. It's any word that you could describe a round of golf, especially that back nine. It is something for the ages. And man, I'm glad I got to see the last little bit of it. I mean, it was a course record that had already been broken earlier in that tournament because it was soft greens where two players shot 62 earlier in, I believe, the first couple of the previous mark of 62 earlier in the week by Sam Burns and Max Homa, but there was no denying Hovland.
Yeah, and what he did was he propelled himself right up the standings for this FedEx Cup playoff, and he's going to be teeing off in the last pairing this weekend with Scottie Scheffler. So he moved up to the number 2 spot, meaning he'll be starting the tournament 8 under, if I'm not mistaken. Scottie Scheffler will be starting at 10 under. And Scottie Scheffler, actually, last year he had a better season, but this year, winning-wise, this year, I think he only had 3 wins, but this year he was up around the leaderboard, like seemingly every week. So he is the points leader right now. John Rahm was the regular, they call it the regular season for golf. You know, they keep playing, but at the end of the regulation season, he was the top player. I think he slid down, what was it, to 4? He's 4th, so he'll be paired with Rory McIlroy, and they will be 7 and 6 under respectively. And this is taking place at East Lake Golf Course in Atlanta this coming weekend. So it should be really interesting. This stuff is kind of exciting because you get down to the end of it here, and it's an interesting dynamic to start at 10 under, and you're giving like one of the best players in the world a negative 10 before he even puts the ball in the tee in the first hole. So it's an interesting dynamic to see how that's going to shake out. Hovland coming in very hot. Also, I had it here a second ago. I guess I lost the standings. The guy who won last week? He's like 5th. Yeah, Lucas Glover. He's coming into this tournament in the 5 spot, and so he is he was a winner a week ago and the previous week. So a lot to watch here, a lot to look forward to in this weekend's golf, and it's always gonna be interesting because there's still some things to be settled when it comes to choosing Ryder Cup teams. And, you know, Zach Johnson's going to be looking at this. Some of the guys are automatically qualified, but then he is going to still have to make some picks. And so anybody coming through this playing well, got that momentum, could be headed to the Ryder Cup here soon. But yeah, you know, Viktor Hovland's a guy I always kind of root for that dude because I've seen him get like a 9 on a hole one time where he was knocking the ball back and forth around the hole, and his demeanor just doesn't change. He looks like he's smiling whether he's doing good or bad. He has like that same kind of that permanent grin demeanor too. I don't know, but hey, good on him. And it wouldn't bother me one bit if I saw him go out and win this thing this coming weekend.
He said, you know what? Win or lose, I'm not going to sell. I am not going to sell none whatsoever. So that's our wrap up in the world of PGA. No live tournaments this weekend. And if so, you probably had to watch it on the CW. Which
yes, Koepka's not in this tournament this weekend, right? Koepka's not playing in Atlanta. No Koepka, no Sergio, no Phil, no
CW.
No CW.
The only CW is the ECW. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for golf, fellas. Looking at my rubber band, but actually looking at my phone because I ain't get to watch. Guess what time it is?
What time is it, Eddie? Cool.
Oh, Black Snow. No, I'm glad you asked. It is time for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, old button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming right up after this on the Sports Bros Podcast.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so love you, Ms. Button, for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. You know how we do it, man. 200 plus episodes. Scottie asked y'all a question. Y'all give us the answer. So y'all ain't been participating as of late, but I understand, it's getting that time of year, getting kids back in school, enjoying the last little bit of summer. I get it. I really do. Trust me. If anybody understands it, it's me, boy. That being said, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
We asked, for those who gave a Raspututi, what team that missed the playoffs last year, we're going to make it this year, talking NFL, what teams that made it will miss this year. We actually ourselves unintentionally alluded to some of them in the NFC already, but we did have a couple of answers, I believe. Not many, but let's just talk about it, Eddie. Cool. Let's see what we got here.
Well, we didn't mean to, but we did it anyway, all right? We got Tony Bogan. Shout out to Tony Bogan. He has a podcast by the name of Tapped In with Tony Bogan, which you can check out on all podcast providers. I highly recommend you check it out, all right? Tony Bogan says, teams that missed the playoffs last year but will make it this year. He said the Lions, the Jets, the Saints, the Browns, and the Rams. And the teams that made the playoffs but will sit at home, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Giants.
Yep. Okay. A couple I agree with there, a couple I disagree with.
Yep. We're going to say the best for last. With that being said, we got Macho Man, Randy Martin. He says Pittsburgh will make the playoffs and Tampa Bay won't.
Okay.
So we got 8 teams in the AFC making the playoffs and 6 teams in the NFC making the playoffs. Come on, Randy.
Well, he didn't piece deal. He did what we asked. He named a couple, He did. He was legit. That's a good answer.
You're right. He did name a couple, 1 and 2. A couple. 2.
Yeah.
For Pittsburgh to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
AFC teams can't make it. He didn't name the AFC team that isn't going to make it. He just put another AFC.
He said, use your imagination on that, but the Steelers are in.
He said, figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Now we're going to save the best for last. Trey Dizzle, he says,
oh, boy.
Teams that have Dak Prescott as quarterback, the Dallas Cowboys. Teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl, all the other teams.
So he gives the Carolina Panthers a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than the Cowboys. Cowboys are eliminated. They're not going to make the playoffs. They got Dak. So there you go.
And I love those odds. With that being said, shout out to TB, Tony Bogan, Trey Dizzle, and Randy Martin for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Be live. Who you got?
Well, as Scottie D mentioned, we did allude a little bit with the NFC. And just for clarity, in the NFC, I have the Lions and the Carolina Panthers in the playoffs. They didn't make it last year. And the 2 teams that are falling out of the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, too easy, and the New York Giants. I just do not believe in them whatsoever. Now, when it comes to the AFC, I'm going to sneak in. Not really sneak in, all the rave, all the talk. I think the Jets make the playoffs.
Okay.
I think the Jets make the playoffs. I think all the other teams that are in that made the playoffs, they stay in there. Not believing in Pittsburgh just yet. George Pickens is having an outstanding offseason. So I think he is going to
he's getting a ton of hype.
Yeah, I think he's really light up the scoreboard, but I think they're just a couple pieces away with Pittsburgh. I put the Jets in, and as much as I like Mike Williams, I like my Paul, I like my Clemson Tigers, Justin Herbert, I think he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the I have the Chargers. I have them.
You still got to make in the playoffs, though, right?
No, I have the Chargers making the playoffs. I have the Jets making the playoffs, and I have the
okay. Chargers are out.
Chargers are out. I have the Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Jaguars, Ravens, Dolphins, and Jets in the playoffs. I have the Chargers. They the lone dogs out. So it is what it is. Yes, sir.
Scottie D, who you got?
Yeah, I'm not too far off from you there, B-Live. I look at the NFC, and I think I picked 3 different division winners from the 4 last year. And the AFC, I think all 4 division winners are going to repeat. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Jaguars. I think those are all happening again. I think the Chargers are staying in it. I do think the Jets are going to knock out the Dolphins, and I'm wrestling with the Ravens and Steelers, and I kind of think the Ravens are going to prevail. So I'm really only picking the Dolphins to miss in the AFC, and the Steelers and the Ravens to hold off the Steelers. I think there's too much talent with the Jets. Even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well, they've built a defensive team. They have a lot of offensive weapons. Just like the Lions, it's almost like everyone's completely hyped these 2 teams, and it didn't hurt that they're on Hard Knocks, and it doesn't hurt that Aaron Rodgers was a complete grouch in Green Bay a year ago, and now he's Mr. Smiley, give back money, audition for Jeopardy guy on HBO. So, but having said that, as much as I can't stand Aaron Rodgers and I'm rooting against him, I think the Jets are gonna get in. So you like the Chargers? Oh, okay, interesting. Eddie, cool.
All right. So, let's see. In the AFC, I got
the Browns.
Yeah. I believe in them about as much as I believe in. I don't say that, Eddie. In the AFC, I got the Jets because they got they got the big obvious upgrade during the offseason, Aaron Rodgers, and they literally have talent. Sauce Gardner doing this thing on the defense. Quentin Williams got a bunch of money, and they got Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall. So
yeah,
not to mention Garrett Wilson. I mean, they're a well-rounded.
They're loaded.
They're
loaded.
It's Super Bowl or bust for them.
They're going to bust if that's the choices.
Yeah.
But they're going to be good. I think they're going to be. I can't see how they can't be good.
Well, and after missing the playoffs, we got them pesky Steelers. Mike Tomlin and them Steelers. I think they'll find a way to get into the playoffs, whether they play second in the division, third in the division, or just back into the division with a series of mishaps and other things going on too. And out of the playoffs, I'm gonna have to say the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm gonna just have to say the Chargers, man, because ever since Jacksonville, when they kicked them in the mouth, it's not really setting straight with me. It really isn't.
Yeah. If it happens, Brandon Staley got to go, right?
Yeah, he should have been gone, but he got to go. Like 2 dudes on the hot seat coming into the season, Brandon Staley and Ron Rivera. In the National Football Conference, going in, the Detroit Lions. Yep, the Detroit Lions. And also going in will be the Carolina Panthers. Who ain't doing it? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For obvious reasons. No more Tom, Edward, Patrick, Carmichael, Randy, Tony, Trey, Lamar, Scott, Brian, Fitzgerald, Brady III. That's over and done with because they got issues at quarterback between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. I don't trust none of them as far as I can throw them. And sad to say, they're going to be good. They're going to be competitive, but that division is loaded. I'm going to have to say the Giants. They're going to bow out because.
Oh, you picked them.
I did pick them.
You picked them, you put them in, and you eliminated the Seahawks.
Yeah, I put them in, but I just think I'm like, because I think Geno Smith got an upgrade at wide receiver, got that weapon, and so that's gonna.
Okay, so you're changing. You keep the Seahawks in and Giants out. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like the Giants. I don't know. I'm not feeling too cool and too great about that. And with that being said, that wraps up another edition of the Choices of the Voices. And Scottie D, with that being said, what's on tap for next week?
All right. Hopefully we get a few more people interested in this topic because I am interested in this topic.
Me too.
What NFL rookie are you most excited to watch play this upcoming season? And there are several interesting and compelling guys at several positions. What NFL rookie this year are you most looking forward to seeing play on the field in 2023? And that, Eddie Cool, give us something to talk about next week.
All right, on the choices of the voices, since we got turnout like this for our last two choices of the voices, we're going to take this question and post it on our Twitter account, our Instagram account, and for those of you that listen to us on Spotify, go to the question and answer section, and it'll be sitting right there. So you can answer it, leave your name, who the hell you are, so that way we can read your response right here on the Sports Bros podcast.
We have an Instagram.
Yeah, we got it. We got the whole thing. We got a whole shebang.
And we have a Twitter and X account. We have both of those.
Yeah, we got Twitter X.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we have all that. We have all that. All right.
I'm learning about the social media.
Good.
Do we have a MySpace? Are we on MySpace as well?
Coming up next is a round of right here on the Sports Bros podcast.
I like MySpace.
Does MySpace even exist still?
It does not.
It's music. It's all music now.
Yeah, it's all music now. Back with some pepper after this.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, we got a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of sort of not really here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. The 4 E's in no particular order. With that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1959, Cincinnati Reds future baseball Hall of Famer, outfielder, and manager Frank Robinson hits 1, 2, 3 consecutive home runs, 6, which totals into 6 RBIs, in an 11-4 win over the St. Louis Cardinals at Crossley Field. Yep, Frank Robinson was one of the best to do it. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, I'm going to give you a baseball triple play here. While the world is watching the Little League World Series here in Washington, Pennsylvania, we had the Pony League World Series, and we were very proud that our host team, Washington, made it to the finals, losing to Japan in the finals in the Pony League World Series, 13 and 14-year-olds. The Yankees have lost 8 straight. They are now under 500. They haven't been under 500 since like 1993. Might be time for a look at a change of general manager and manager, Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone on the hot seat. And the good of baseball, the Seattle Mariners swept the Astros this past weekend. Julio Rodriguez, I don't know if you guys saw it. Did you see what he did? Did you see what this guy did?
What did he do?
Yeah, we all fell in love with him last year during the Home Run Derby, and again this year putting on a show. He became the second player ever to have 4 or more hits in 4 straight games. He had 17 hits in a 4-game span, and then added another one on Sunday for 18 hits in 5 games. They are not and sweeping the Astros. That is on fire right there. That is on fire. He was 4 for 6 on Saturday night. And they are now a half game behind the Astros, 3 behind Texas, and a half game ahead of the Blue Jays for the last wild card spot. Be live to you, buddy.
You have to plunk him. Just hit him. Just go ahead and hit him. Yeah.
Well, since Scottie D is over here stealing pepper points, because I was going to save the New York Yankees for my 3rd and final.
Give it to me. Go ahead and give it to me. I just brushed it. Go ahead and give it to me.
As he's already mentioned, they have lost 8 in a row. And the last one was helped by an overturned call at the plate in the 8th inning.
Did you see that? It was terrible.
You look like you might have slid that foot in there and should have been safe by a mile, but
he was safe.
But see what happened was God don't like ugly, and the Yankees are ugly. And so
they are that.
The Yankees are now 60 and 64. And they are 9 games behind the aforementioned Seattle Mariners for the American League's last wild card spot. They're 9 games behind.
He was safe, B. Don't you think he was safe?
Okay. I was like, well, did you not even look at all the dust that was underneath the catcher?
And the call of the field was safe. They still overturned it. That was unbelievable.
But it is what it is. And as you now know, that was going to be my third and final pepper point, but it's okay. It's all right. I adjust on the fly. Eddie, cool. The ball.
Moving around real quick. Let me clear my throat. All right, my second pepper point involves some high school football. As you know, I work for WOBL, WDLW, and I'm in charge of the video live stream there. So that's what I do when I'm not doing this. And I do a lot of stuff at the station. I do a lot of stuff in general. I'm also a part-time podcast producer. So if you're looking for some podcast production, I'll let you boy. Me, and then Be Live, and then Scottie D. We'll help you out. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. All right, so this weekend, to kick off the season up here in Northeast Ohio at Paul Brown Stadium, home of the Massillon Tigers, they had a showcase. Northeast Ohio versus America. And here are the teams that were involved, all right? Representing Ohio, we have the St. Edwards Eagles, the reigning, defending, two-time Division I state champions. The Glenville Tar Blooders, coached by coaching legend Ted Ginn Sr. They are the Division IV state champions. And perennial Division II powers Archbishop Hoban, the Knights, and the Massillon Washington Tigers. The Massillon Washington Tigers are second in all-time wins, and they faced the Valdosta Wildcats, who is number one all-time in high school football wins. All right, and they represent the Region 7A in Georgia. And then also the Frederick Douglass Broncos. They're the 2022 state champions in the state of Kentucky in their division. The Dinwiddie Generals, they are also the 2022 state champions in their division in Virginia. And the Center Grove Trojans, they also are the 2022 6A division champions in Indiana. And the results goes as follows. St. Edwards defeats Center Grove 27-10. Glenville defeats Dinwiddie 31-10. Archbishop Hoban defeats Frederick Douglass 45-6. And Massillon defeats Valdosta 28-7. Northeast Ohio showing its dominance in all of high school football as they beat teams from Virginia, Kentucky, Georgia, and Indiana. Over to you, Scottie D.
They don't want none of Trinity, tell you that.
No.
So, this past Saturday night, a star is born was the quote at the UFC 292 fights in the cage as Chris Weidman. Well, earlier tonight, Chris Weidman made his comeback, the middleweight, and I remember I spoke about him last week, guys, making his comeback after breaking his leg a couple years ago, and he just went out and got his legs kicked for 15 minutes by Brad Tavares, and Dana White implored him to please not fight anymore. But a star is born, as what I was alluding to, is the Sugar Show. Sean O'Malley knocks out Aljamain Sterling for the Bantamweight Championship in round number 2, and he has a lot of potential. This is a guy who didn't rush to the top. He kind of took his time, taking some wins up. The only loss he really had was the Cheeto Vera earlier in his career, where he had sustained a leg injury. They called it drop foot, and he really was unable to finish the fight. And he now wants to avenge that loss. He wants to fight him. But the world is in your hands, Sugar Show, the new bantamweight champion of the UFC. Be Live, over to you.
All right, for my second pepper point here, the ever-growing story that is that team up north and the University of Michigan Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh. He was suspended 4 games. Then the NCAA Infractions Committee rejected the agreement between Jim Harbaugh and the NCAA, so he wasn't suspended anymore. And now he's suspended again, but this time it is self-imposed by the University of Michigan, where it's going to be a 3-game suspension for Jim Harbaugh. So he's going to miss games against the powerhouses of Eastern University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Bowling Green. So I'm going to be rooting for the Pirates of ECU, because you know how Michigan has trouble with them smaller schools from the state of North Carolina.
Ooh,
Yep, they sure do.
wow.
ECU, stand up. Let's get it. Let's go. Eddie Cool, the ball.
All right, and my third and final pepper point, Scottie D, you're going to love this one. Happy birthday to the big tuna himself, Bill Parcells, all right? He turns 82 years young today. Now,
Wow.
Bill Parcells has had an illustrious career. I don't know if you noticed, but he was a member of the 1964 Detroit Lions practice squad or training camp. So he was there as well too, all right? So he made all kind of stops from Hastings College to Wichita State, Army, Florida State, Vanderbilt, Texas Tech. He was the head coach of Air Force in 78. And then, Patriots, Giants, he did his thing. Of course, he's still with the Cowboys. The big tuna has done it all. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, a two-time NFL Associated Press Coach of the Year in 86 and 94, Sporting News Coach of the Year in 86, two-time Pro Football Weekly Coach of the Year in 94 and 96, a Maxwell Club NFL Coach of the Year winner in 94, a two-times UPI NFL Coach of the Year in 86 and 94, a member of the 1990s All-Decade Team as a coach. He also is a member of the New York Giants Ring of Honor and the New York Giants All-90s team. He boasts a career record of 183, 138, and 1, 11 and 8 in the postseason, and 172, 130, and 1 in the regular season. So with that being said, happy birthday to the big tuna, Bill Parcells. Over to you, Scottie D.
He might still be coaching the Cowboys if Jerry Jones didn't sign T.O. Anyway, so as I close out, I'm ready to close out my year with all Saturdays filled with college football from here on in. There is no more Saturdays left without college football, and I couldn't be more excited, especially as I look ahead to our opening week, as Southern Cal is only a 31-point favorite against San Jose State.
Lord Jesus.
Notre Dame, they take on Navy. I think they're only 20 points favorites, but that should toughen them up for their week 2 matchup against Tennessee State. And it looks like I'll be staying up late on Saturday as the Florida International Panthers take on the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech. So that is what's got me fired up for college football. Week 1 coming up. It is here, baby. Football season. Be live. Take us home. Yes, sir.
This is how we're going to start off college.
I'm just telling you games on the schedule. Just giving you factual games on the schedule.
Nerve to come out of his mouth about my school on top of that. Like, not only you put some respect on the United States Naval Academy's name.
They're playing Notre Dame.
And they're
Navy.
They're playing in Dublin, Ireland, actually.
Ooh. That makes it more exciting.
That is it's a Notre Dame conglomerate going on. It's all things Notre Dame, but I wish I was at the Naval Academy because they do fly out all of their students to those games. When I was there, I got the luxury of going to Orlando, Florida. Now they're flying to freaking Ireland. Shit, my let me bring it in, bring it on home. My third and final pepper point. Like I said, switching up on the fly, but I think this is worthy of what I like to call what happened. So, the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon, was found not guilty in an aggravated menacing case, which people would like to ask, what the heck is aggravated
menacing?
Well, police claim that he pointed a gun at a woman and said to the woman, he said it to the police or to the woman that he should shoot her. And I guess the threat of shooting her, I guess, is aggravated menacing. So I'm going to dub him Joe Morant. But I'm not guilty of that charge. And I'm going to take back the comment Joe Morant because Joe Mixon feels some type of way about the media's coverage of this said event because after practice, he declined to speak to reporters. He then announced that he would be boycotting questions from specific reporters who represent the following outlets. He is not going to talk to Sports Illustrated. He's not going to talk to the Cincinnati Enquirer. He's not going to talk to the Pro Football Network. And, of course, our favorite 4-letter network, ESPN. He said it's not happening he's citing behavior he deemed disrespectful. He said, they've been disrespecting my name all this time, talking out the side of their mouth, but all this here, there, and everywhere, and he was found not guilty. Well, on top of that, Joe Mixon's been in the news. That's why I call him Joe Morant, but don't ban us. It is what it is.
We didn't do it.
He didn't do it, and I guess he didn't do it either because he's also facing a lawsuit after a teenager who was formerly his next-door neighbor was shot in the foot while playing with Nerf guns. Joe Mixon was not a suspect in the criminal investigation. Others have been charged, but why is Joe Mixon being sued? I have no idea. I guess just because he was there and has a lot of money. Yeah. So Joe Mixon said he's not talking to none of them 4 networks. Joe Mixon, we mean no disrespect when I said Joe Morant. These are jokes. We as fans.
Jokes.
So, if you want to come on the show and talk to us,
I was about to say that.
I'm gonna get all the respect in the world. Joe Mixon, you've been my dude on fantasy. Keep doing what you do. Yes, sir. Gotta go.
Yeah, Joe Mixon, you come talk to us. With that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros podcast. I ain't done this in a while. But Scottie D, where can they find you?
You can find me watching college football. Week 1 actually consists of 2 weeks, if you can believe that. Week 1 is on Saturday, August 26th, and it's on the Saturday the 10th. It's 2 weeks or Saturday night. 2 weeks of college football is opening week. You can find me watching that stuff. Be Live, Max Speed Shop. They got brisket, beer.
In 2.5 years, let that go. I'm here at the Shared Studios, 3005 Sigmund Street, located behind the Trophy House and on after right here in the heart of Fayetteville, North Carolina, for all of your multimedia production needs. Eddy Cool, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me in a press box on Friday nights covering high school football as running the live stream program for WOBL, WDLW, also known as the Lorain County Sports Network. You can view the game on YouTube. Also, shout out to the Speak Easy podcast, to the governor and Jimbo Slice. I had fun editing you guys' podcast straight out of Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. If you like cornhole, this is the podcast you need to listen to, and you could just find me wherever the hell you find me. And then in closing, do something nice for yourself, and if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. Be a blessing, not a burden. Stay safe. RIP to Bruce. We love you and you miss you. And also shout out to everybody in Hawaii. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. It's been another episode of Sports Bros Podcast. Be Live. Get us up out of here.
Yes, sir.
Week 1 on September 2nd, the second week of college football. That's what it is.
Absolute madness. And as always, thank you for watching and listening to the Sports Bros Podcast. Hey, Be Live gonna take this video and make some magic. Stay tuned. Bye, y'all. Hey, it's Eddy Cool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.